Hello everybody, my name is Jessica. I am in the Marriage and Family Counseling course with Dr. Alex, and so for our most recent assignment, it is to complete our Genogram, tracing back at least 3 generations. And so with that, I did down to my daughter's generation and up to my grandparents, including my husband's side as well, so just kind of focusing on what our family tree looks like. And so with that, I found it to be very intriguing. I personally do not talk to my family at all. So really kind of like honing back on what my memories of my family are and what their personality and what their traits are, and looking at that from an objective standpoint, as I no longer talk to them. So I really don't have any skin in the game when it comes to them, and really having a deep analysis of what was passed down through our generations, and what that looks like for both sides of the family, because I've only known dysfunction in my family, so really looking at what potentially that could look like. Really gathering things. I sat down for approximately like 2 hours and really wrote down everybody's personality traits of what I could remember, and kind of looking at the time span of when they were alive, if they've died within the past 20-30 years, what their personality was like or what their personality is like. Really helped me kind of justify what has been passed down and what was societal, what was something that we would now deem as an illness, or just a coping mechanism. And so really going around and creating my Genogram. I did it on paper, just so that I could have something tangible and, cross off as many things as I like, or add in all of the social aspects that I was looking at. And so something that I found really intriguing was my parents' side or my father's side of the family has a very addictive personality. I found a lot of things like smoking, a lot of obesity from overeating, a lot of these things that we would now call coping mechanisms. And it looks like it dates back from when my family actually came to America, about in the 60s, early 70s, as my father was first generation born American. And so it was really strange to look at that from an objective standpoint as to how that happened or why that happened. And I dated that back to advertising in the time. It was just something that was regularly advertised, things like Marlboro points that you could get, Marlboro sponsored material like shirts and jackets and all of these decor pieces by buying so many number of cigarettes. I remember having those around from my grandparents, like jackets that said Marlboro on them. And as I grew up, I just thought that was normal, but it would have passed down since the 80s, even in the 70s in some places. So really looking at how that addictive personality manifested in my family and all the different facets of it, as well as looking at a lot of what we would now consider mental illnesses. And so growing up, having family members that might have just been oh, they're very worrisome. But looking at it, they definitely exhibited a lot of signs of anxiety or other disorders that we merely just pushed under the rug, as my family was one of the ones that we don't talk about illnesses. Mental illness is not something that runs in our family. But really looking at it, there are a lot of warning flags that we really should look out for, not only in my generation, but in my children's generation, and really teaching them about what they could spiral into very quickly. And then in my husband's side of the family, I looked at theirs just kind of for fun to see what he knew about his family and what that looked like, and how we can help show this to our daughter as she gets older and what that looks like. And so really creating this Genogram, really sitting down and organizing these areas of, okay, tell me all about your aunt, for example, and having him really go through and okay, here's all the things, she's a very worrisome person, or maybe she does this, or maybe she's a smoker, to really look at okay, is that something common in that generation or at that time, like in the 70s and 80s? Or is this something that we should really keep an eye out for? Or is this something that potentially skips a generation? Which in my family, we found a lot more of these areas than in his family. So maybe dating it back to, okay, is the society's influence on new immigrants? What did that look like? And so I am very excited to complete this paper and really do like a deep analysis of what my family looks like. And I'm definitely going to apply this into other areas. I do not see myself personally being a counselor. I plan on pursuing my PhD and doing research, but looking at this from a research standpoint of how this can impact future generations and really honing in on what our society looks like today and potentially how these areas can affect future generations. So I am definitely very excited about this. I think that this was a great assignment and I really enjoyed completing this paper. Thank you.